Hello, everybody. I'm Frank Vitale, Chief Marketing Officer for Burden Accountants Advisors. And before we get started with today's interview, as always, I want to start off by thanking all the frontline healthcare workers and other workers around our cities and local area who are keeping operations moving as best they can and really paving the way for us to reopen and return to whatever the new normal is going to be. As we've been trying to do with these videos is really provide some insight both from what's happening from a legislation and business standpoint. And on that front, we have Burden's Chief Operating Officer, Rebecca Goodman-Stevens, with us today to really talk about operations and moving forward outside of this pandemic. Hi, Rebecca. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing, Frank?
I'm doing well. Have you, everyone has kind of adapted to working from home. Any new skills or things that you've been able to acquire as you become more and more comfortable with remote working?
So I have to say, first of all, before we get into that, I just want to touch on a really important topic. I've always wanted to be kind of a pop star singer, and this is, I guess, the closest I'm ever going to get to wearing a headset as COO. So I just want to make that point. Secondly, yes, I'm actually really, I don't want to take away from obviously the stress and the really traumatic and deeply sad situation that a lot of us and a lot of people are going through. But it's in my nature and I can't help myself but see really a lot of the exciting opportunities and silver lining that there is in what we're going through. And there's a lot to talk about. And also to your question, I've learned a lot and I continue to learn a lot. And yeah, I can't wait to see how all of this unfolds for our clients and for us.
So, as a COO for our firm, you've always been focused on change management. How has this pandemic adjusted your view on change management and our approach and what other companies can do going forward with regards to that topic?
How it's changed my view? I'd say it's really confirmed. It's kind of proving a lot of points that we're trying to make. And I think it's really being extremely instrumental in that sense. In my mind, this just really showed us how being able to change and understanding that change is going to be constant is just it's a core competency. If our people in any industry, leadership, official leadership role, or leaders within their teams, or you have to be able to adapt to change and to prepare for change. And this really also reinforced what a lot of us go through day to day, which is the constant pull and tug between operational needs, getting things done in the now that seem to be the ultimate immediate priority. And it's very tempting to then not focus on the things that you're going to need as part of your vision for the future. And if you're not focusing on them now, when the future actually happens, you're not ready for that. So a lot of topics that we pushed in the last 3 years or more have really set us up to right now be successful, right? Be able to work remotely, be able to have online education and learning, to be able to have the systems in place, to have just the way that we communicate put in place, the mindset, the culture shift. And if we're not preparing the next 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years right now, then we're not going to be ready when that time comes. So it really is a key attribute to have as part of leadership. And my message would be just to power through. If you are in an operational role, strategic role, to power through and to push through those really difficult conversations, because although it might not be seen as a priority right now, you know what you need to do when you've got a vision, you've got a strategy, you know what needs to be done to be ready for that next step and the next step, and you need to push through on that.
So I think that's great, and I think that's great advice about planning and thinking forward. But what would you think about having the ability to adapt and be flexible in the moment as well? What advice do you have to have a plan yet still be nimble and flexible so you could tweak and adjust to fit what's going on in the current environment?
Right, and that's a great question, and it goes to the point on change management. It's not just about having a change management plan and then you cannot derive from that. No, it's about having a plan that takes you somewhere, and then you, according to what happens, kind of you have to shift onto something else. I think it's more about having your core values in place, your vision and strategy in place, and then being able to tweak it as things come along without losing sight of the bigger picture of where you're trying to go. So although right now is obviously a huge blip in the radar, and it's a very different situation, we still have to move on a lot of projects that we're going to ultimately need when we come out of this. However, there are plans such as, what's your workspace going to look like? How are people going to work? What's the remote workforce, or alternative work schedules going to look like, that are out the window, right? And we have to rethink those. but a lot of the other core fundamentals remain the same.
That's great. Everyone has had to adapt and learn how to use IT and technology a little bit more effectively. Um, as a result of that, how do you see that changing, or what advice do you have with regards to IT, which sometimes is just seen as, okay, let's check the box as a necessity or as an overhead piece that we need to have just the basics. Do you think that mentality needs to shift going forward, and has this pandemic led to that shift?
So yeah, again, I think this pandemic has helped really highlight aspects that we've been trying to showcase for a long time in our industry and in many industries. Is really that, you know, for a long time, IT was really the back office, keeping the lights on, you know, reboot, plug in your computer, kind of how do you give you the tools to be able to work okay, but not really a business partner, a true strategic business partner to firms to help them drive their strategy and implement their strategy. And I think it really just shows how important and what a great opportunity it is right now to work very closely with IT in the way that we've really tried to do so, to help from a business standpoint, and not only implementation of the business strategy, but help work alongside the leadership and to be a key leader at the table in developing that strategy. And that's in any industry, is really having IT as a seat at the table, looking at what we can automate, how we can use technology to drive our strategy and to develop our strategy. And nowadays, if IT isn't one of the core pillars driving that, you're missing more than 80% of what you should be doing.
So a lot of our clients at Burden are mid-sized, privately held, family-owned businesses. For those types of businesses who may not have an IT infrastructure, or what can they do to help get IT a seat at the table if they haven't had the infrastructure in the past? Any advice on how they could move forward to really make what your suggestions are a reality?
From my standpoint, I think it's a really good opportunity to address topics that smaller families or firms kind of put on the back burner, thinking, you know, I'm not going to invest in this right now because I kind of have a system in place that works. I think it's a great opportunity to really look at how things are stored, what is manual, what could you put online, and to work with a provider, to work with an outsourced provider on making that happen. I think it's a great opportunity to work with your clients in any industry on helping them be more tech ready to adapt to a remote work situation, because that's probably going to happen again, and that's the reality of how things are going to go moving forward. And honestly, I recommend using this opportunity to get a lot of those projects launched, because the awareness is there. The fear factor of not being able to do it, or fear that we couldn't have things on a cloud, or fear that we couldn't have everything on technology, is really dispersed because we are all remote right now. So I really want to use this as a prime time to get these things done. I recommend anyone in our positions to do exactly the same, and to keep the energy, to my first point on driving strategic projects, although it might be a challenge, because the natural reaction is to focus on right now, to keep doing that and to keep pushing so you have the right structure going forward.
And in all honesty, with social distancing and things still going to be in effect as we open up, technology is going to be a key to keep a lot of business in operation. Rebecca, thank you so much for your insight, and for all of our followers out there, if you have any questions on any of these topics, please feel free to reach out to Rebecca directly or myself, or you could reach out to any Burden advisor by visiting our website at www.burdenllp.com. That's BERDONLLP.com. You could also access our COVID Information Center there, where we have a number of articles and resources to help everyone navigate through the complexities of what's going on with COVID-19, and also help prepare you as you prepare to start getting back to some level of normalcy and reopening your businesses and engaging what the new normal is going to be going forward. So Rebecca, thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. And we hope that one day we could get you with your headset doing a little bit of a pop song for our viewers. I think that will also bring some smiles to some faces out there.
It would definitely bring smiles. I would hate to tank your fan base following, but I'm happy. I'm up for anything, as you know. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. All right, all have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll look forward to speaking with you next time.